We are going to break you from the inside. Yes, you, the one who's always there. The one who says yes even when they're broken inside. The one who responds quickly. The one who offers help before it's even asked. The one who doesn't know how to say enough.
Do you recognize yourself? Then listen closely, because this video is not a kind invitation for change, it is a raw warning. You are extinguishing yourself, and no one is noticing. Worse still, no one seems to care. You've confused generosity with submission. And what you think is kindness is the art of giving yourself up without defense. You've built your identity around being useful, accessible, present. But here comes the dagger. The more available you are, the less people value you. And no, it's not fair, but it's real. People don't respect what they always have. They get used to it. They normalize it. You become part of the background. And do you know what happens with the background? It's there until it's not. Nobody misses it because it was never the focus, just the background. And you, in order not to disturb, became the background. You blurred yourself out. We live in a world that doesn't reward unconditional giving. It rewards scarcity, strategy, mystery. Does it hurt? Of course. But Machiavelli knew this centuries ago. Power is not in blind goodness. It's in control, in knowing when to give and when to withdraw, in the ability to provoke desire, not from need, but from absence. Have you ever noticed how certain names light up a room without being present? How there are people whose mere appearance changes the energy of a place? It's not a coincidence. It's design, it's strategy, it's measured presence. And you, on the other hand, are everywhere, all the time. And that makes you invisible. The brutal irony, the more you give, the less you're worth. Because your boundless presence has lost the emotional weight it once had. You're not making yourself loved. You're making yourself dispensable. Here's where the psychology of desire comes in. What can't be easily had is coveted. What is always there is despised. It doesn't matter if you're a good person. The world doesn't work by moral rules. It works by the rules of perception. And you, unknowingly, have cultivated the perception that you are always available, always willing, always ready. What's the result? You become predictable. And in the human mind, predictable doesn't excite. It doesn't impact. It's not valued. You've been applauded for being good, but they've forgotten what it costs to have you. Because it doesn't cost them. Because you're there even when they haven't earned it. Because you're not needed, you just are. And that condemns you. You're not here to save everyone. You're here to protect your essence. Because if you wear it out on everyone, you won't have anything left for yourself. How many times have you finished the day exhausted, not knowing why? How many times have you felt that you give everything and receive crumbs? It's not because the world is broken. It's because you haven't learned to put a price on yourself. When you don't set limits, the other person doesn't know how far they can go. And like any child without rules, they will test how far they can stretch you, until you break. And when that happens, they won't say what a good soul they had. They'll say something's wrong with them, and they will replace you. Because that's how the game goes. Goodness without strategy is a sentence. And it's not that you should stop being good, it's that you need to learn to be smart with your light. Not everyone deserves to see it. Not everyone deserves your energy. Not everyone who applauds you is on your side. Some just enjoy how easy it is to get what you offer. Machiavelli said the prince should appear virtuous, but not be fully so, because virtue without strength is destruction. Does that sound familiar? You've been virtuous to the bone, and that has made you fragile. And no one protects fragile things that give themselves away without measure. They use it, they exploit it. And when it no longer shines, they discard it. Here comes the hardest part. You might be surrounded by people who don't value you. But those people are not the problem. The problem is you, who have taught everyone that you will always be there, that they don't need to fight for you, that you're not a prize, you're a guaranteed option. And that kills respect. It kills desire. It kills connection. Do you want to be valued? Learn to leave. Learn not to respond so quickly. Learn to leave unread. Learn to prioritize yourself without guilt. Because if you don't do it, no one else will. Respect is born from limits, not constant availability. Do you know who is feared, respected, desired? The one who controls their presence. The one who appears only when they have something to offer. The one who isn't afraid to disappear. Because they know that their value is not in being, but in what they generate when they decide to be. Think about the great figures in history. They weren't the kindest. They were the wisest, the most strategic. They gave, yes, but they knew when. They knew to whom. They knew why. And above all, they knew when to stop giving. If today you feel invisible, it's not because the world is blind. It's because you've shown so much, so consistently, that no one stops to look anymore. You've lost the mystery. You've lost the impact. And worst of all, you've lost yourself. Because when you live for others, you forget what you need. And that's a slow way of disappearing. Not physically, emotionally, spiritually, internally. The world is full of martyrs who died being good people. But those who changed the world were those who knew how to manage their fire. Those who didn't burn out for everyone. Those who learned that sometimes the noblest act is leaving. Does it hurt that they ignore you? Maybe you should ask yourself how much you've allowed that to happen. Does it cost you to set boundaries? Then ask yourself how much you're worth on an emotional scale, where you're always the one who gives in. It's not about becoming cold. It's about protecting your fire. You can't give light if you've gone out. You can't be a lighthouse if you don't have a base. You can't love well if you don't first love yourself fiercely. Psychology says it clearly. The human being needs scarcity to value, and you have been abundance without control. What's the result? You've become the landscape, and nobody admires the landscape if they see it every day. Start today. Be silent. Observe. Withdraw without announcing yourself. Disappear without giving explanations. See who asks for you. See who misses you. See who feels the void of your absence. And there, right there, begin to rebuild your value. It's not about playing games, it's about reclaiming your power. Because as long as you remain available to everyone, you'll never be available for yourself. And that, my friend, is the most painful form of betrayal. The one you do to yourself. Choose when to be. Choose who to give to. Choose how to appear. Because when you control your presence, you control the narrative. And the one who controls the narrative controls their destiny. Never give yourself away again. Learn to offer yourself. Because the one who offers themselves makes them wait. And the one who makes them wait becomes an experience, not a custom. And you were not born to be a custom. You were born to be unforgettable, so disappear. And let the world learn what it lost when it had you without effort. Because true respect starts when you stop being there for everyone. And start being only for yourself. We'll continue from where we left off, going even deeper. We're not going to repeat ourselves. We're going to open another door within the same labyrinth. Because if you've made it this far, it's because something inside of you has already started to break. And that's good. Breaking is the first step to rebuilding yourself differently. Let's talk about something few ever touch. The emotional debt created when you give without being asked. It sounds contradictory, but listen. Every time you help without being asked, when you anticipate the needs of others, when you solve what's not your responsibility, you're unconsciously creating an expectation. You're planting a debt. But here's the kicker. Nobody asked you for it. Nobody signed that emotional contract. You did it. And then you get frustrated because it's not returned, because it's not recognized, because it's not appreciated. It's like giving something expensive and then getting upset because the other person doesn't use it as you expected. But who asked for the gift? Here's the psychological trap. You confuse generosity with emotional investment. You give hoping for a return. You expect validation, recognition, love, and when it doesn't come, you feel betrayed. But you weren't betrayed. No one broke a pact, because it never existed. You built it, alone, in silence, hoping the world would respond as you needed. And that's one of the deepest sources of emotional pain. Expecting a return from an act that was never requested. You think you're good, but what you are is addicted to control through giving. Because while you give, you control the narrative. You're the one who helps, who saves, who solves. And you know what that does? It feeds your ego. It makes you feel useful. But don't be fooled. Not everything that seems noble is. Sometimes you give because you're afraid of not having a role in the lives of others. Because if you're not useful, you don't know who you are. Because if you're not solving something, you feel like you're in the way. And there's where an invisible dependence is born, existing only through what you do for others. What happens when one day you decide to stop giving? When you say no? Panic sets in. Because you no longer know how to fit into the story. Because no one taught you how to be without being at the service of others. You've been the rescuer for so long that you forgot how to live without an emergency to put out. But listen to me carefully. You weren't born to put out other people's fires all the time. You were born to build your own fire. You were born to burn in your own direction. And do you know what the problem is? That when one gets used to being useful, they begin to surround themselves with people who only value them for what they do, not for who they are. And that, in essence, is prostituting your emotional identity. You live in a non-verbal contract where your presence depends on your performance. You can't be wrong, you can't fail, you can't disappear. Because if you do, the world stops revolving around you. And do you know what's worse? You love that role, you feel powerful there. But it's a trap, because deep down, you're building an identity based on the fear of not being needed. And that's not power. That's dependence. That's emotional servitude disguised as nobility. Do you want a harsher blow? Most of the people who say they love you don't love you. They love the functional version of you, the one who solves, who accompanies, who never fails. That exhausted version, the one who complies, the one who's broken inside but still smiles. That version is convenient for everyone, because it asks for nothing, because it never inconveniences, because it doesn't require reciprocity. And you? When are you going to love yourself as you deserve? When are you going to stop measuring your worth by what you do and start feeling it for who you are, even when you're not doing anything for anyone? Look, there's a demolishing psychological principle. What is not defended is degraded. What does not set boundaries is devalued. And you've been your own enemy for years, letting them tear pieces off you every time someone needs something. And you do it with a smile. You do it as if nothing's wrong. But something is happening. Something is happening inside. Every time you betray yourself, something breaks that you later don't know how to rebuild. Do you want to regain respect? Start to discomfort. Start saying no. Start staying silent when you used to rush to solve. Start not being there. And you'll see who stays. You'll see who truly looks at you. You'll see who values you even when you're not useful. There lies the purest test of love and respect. When you have nothing to give, who stays with you? And prepare yourself because many will leave. But it's not a loss, it's a cleansing. and after the cleansing comes the air. The truth. The peace of knowing that you're being yourself, not a character designed to please. Does that sound selfish? Perfect. Because for years they taught you that taking care of yourself was selfish, when in reality, it's survival. No one is going to throw themselves into the fire to save you if you don't do it first. No one is going to give you priority if you keep leaving yourself for last. So this is where this part ends, but something bigger begins. The reconquest of your space, the recovery of your voice, the return of your power. You're not here to be useful, you're here to be real. And reality sometimes hurts, but it always frees. And now, listen carefully, because you're about to cross a point of no return. What comes next is not a conclusion, it's a choice. Because if you've made it this far, you can never look at your life the same way again. You can no longer keep saying, "I'm like this," as if it were a sentence. What you are has been a construction, a sum of concessions, silences, fears, and masks. But today, right now, you have a brutal opportunity to start being yourself without apologizing for it. Look around you. The world is full of empty people who consume themselves to be accepted, who juggle emotions to avoid rejection. But not you. You've made it this far because inside you, something is screaming, a part of you that can no longer stand being the background, being the pawn, being the tool. That part wants to be the protagonist. It wants to breathe without permission. It wants to live without conditions. And do you know what the most addictive thing about change is? The silence left by the noise of others when you stop being their emotional entertainment. Suddenly, they shut up. Suddenly, they leave. And then, at last, you can hear yourself. Your voice without filters. Your essence without interference. This is not a happy ending. It's an uncomfortable beginning. The beginning of your discomfort with the comfort of others. Because you're going to annoy. You're going to disappoint. You're going to break bonds built on the lie that you were unconditional. And that's necessary, because you can't build your truth on a rotten foundation. From now on, don't ask permission to withdraw. Don't apologize for protecting yourself. Don't explain your silence. Let them ask where you are. Let them look for you. Let them doubt. Let them squirm. Because right there, your true power is born in what they don't need to explain because they feel it. Now lift your head. Not like someone finishing a video, but like someone returning from the underworld with a new identity. Because what you've just heard wasn't a message, it was a mirror. And if you've held on until here, it's because something in your reflection is awakening. Before you close this video, I want you to leave a mark, not for me, for you. Write this phrase in the comments. I'm learning to retreat without guilt. It doesn't matter if no one likes it. It doesn't matter if no one responds. That comment will be your mark of fire, your silent commitment to your new version. And if this video stirred you, made you think, made you angry, or even made you cry in silence, subscribe. Because this has just begun. Here we don't talk just to talk. Here we come to disarm ourselves, to tear ourselves apart inside, to rebuild ourselves with intention, and if you're ready for that, then welcome. This channel is your uncomfortable refuge, and now goodbye. But not with any goodbye. Goodbye with a warning. Disappear. Yes, just as you hear it. Disappear for a while. Let the world get used to your absence. Do it for you. Do it to see who looks for you, who misses you, who remembers you. And when you return, let them not recognize you. Let your return be so powerful, so firm, so clear, that they don't know whether to greet you or fear you. because the one who learns to leave also learns to return with fire in their eyes. See you in the next descent. Or not. You decide.